me is that Black men make 2% of teachers in America, and 5% of Americans who study abroad are Black. Which, you fit that mold. You're a teacher and you travel abroad. But before we get into that conversation, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely, man. I just want to start off by saying, I'm honored and I really appreciate you bringing me on this platform. I think it's important that we bridge these gaps, and we start connecting these dots with like-minded individuals, so we can put this content out and inspire people, man. That's what it's all about. So I'm really proud of the work that you're doing as well, and I'm really interested to see how this turns out in the future. So thank you for that, man. I'm honored to be on the show. So to give a little bit about myself, my name is Asad. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. That's a very important key point when it comes to my story. And yeah, man, pretty much I grew up in a very rough neighborhood, man, where we saw a lot of different things that had an effect on our mental health. And I would say really is the reason that we are who we are today. Me talking about my siblings and my business partners. So, yeah, I went to Whitlow University High School, where I was involved in multiple sports. And thanks to my family, I was able to become a part of some programs during my junior and senior year of high school that inspired me to decide to go to a historically Black college. So I ended up getting a football scholarship to West Virginia State University, where I played football. I also served as the president of the WVSU NAACP. I pledged Kappa. Shout out to all the Noops out there. And I also created the Cincinnati Peace Movement LLP, which we will also talk about soon. And I got the opportunity to go teach overseas in Tanzania my junior year. And it was an amazing experience, and I fell in love with education. So that's been the last, 20 years of my life, and I'm just glad to be where I am now, and yeah, I'm thankful.
And awesome thing is that, you've done a lot at an early age, man. So you got a lot to do. So,
Yeah.
you still got a lot to go.
I hit the ground
You
running.
did,
I
man.
definitely did, and I'm thankful for that, man. Because I tell people all the time, like, sometimes you just gotta go do it. I've had some failures and stuff in my life too, but at the end of the day, I tried, and a lot of it I was successful with. So, we just got to get out there and do it, man.
So tell me your experience at West Virginia University, HCBU, and why you felt like you needed to go to an all-Black college?
Oh, absolutely, man. My experience was honestly amazing. See, what people need to understand is that, like, Black people, we need spaces that's cultivated to cater to us. We live in a world where society is not catering to us at all. So what HBCUs essentially are like safe havens for young Black people to thrive. So I know it's some brothers and sisters out here who that went to PWIs, predominantly white institutions, but me personally, I feel like HBCUs they're just amazing because the history aligns with ours. The faculty, they know you by name. They should look like you, and it's just everything about it is centered around seeing you become successful. So the history of my school was so amazing that, like, it really inspired me to want to live my life so I can go out in history, just like some of those people. Like, a lot of people don't know, West Virginia State University, it was established in 1891. It was actually given to a Black woman from her slave owner, and she turned it into a colored institute for women. And then she turned it into a college, and then now university. But so many amazing people, like Katherine Johnson, the mathematician, who works at NASA for Hidden Figures. She graduated from West Virginia State University. We have one of the best ROTC programs where the Tuskegee Airmen actually went to West Virginia State to train.
Yep.
Carter G. Woodson was a dean at our school. Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois held a teachers college at West Virginia State University one summer. And it's just so much, man. And when I learned that history, I was like, yo, I gotta go down with them, with the big dogs. I gotta go down.
I feel you, bro. I feel you on that, man.
I just hit the ground running, man. And you know, a lot of people go to these smaller schools and they get discouraged because it may not have the hype as some of the bigger schools. But I tell people all the time, and if it's any young college students that'll listen to this, man, my advice would be get involved. Get involved with as many programs and clubs and groups as you possibly can, and don't be afraid to start your own. Don't be afraid to be a pioneer. Don't be afraid to be the first one. That's one of the biggest things that I live by, and that's why I feel like I've achieved so much through a road less traveled. It's because I wasn't scared to be the one to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people will look at it like, oh, I'm too scared to do that, or like, oh, what do people think? Like, I always try to keep the mindset like, I can be the one. I can pioneer this. So my school really inspired me, man. I had a lot of professors and faculty members that really, really wanted to see me win. Just off the simple fact that because I am a young Black man who wants to be successful. And yeah, so that was my experience, man. It was amazing.
And let's talk about your passion to your purpose. You know, your passion, you know, you didn't think that you were going to be a teacher.
Not at all, man.
that wasn't even in the equation. So let's talk about from you're at West Virginia University, and then you got an opportunity to travel abroad, because remember earlier I said that only 5% of Americans who study abroad are Black. So again, you fit in that mode, that 5%. So what made you what gave you that idea to say, you know what, I'm going to go to Tanzania to study abroad, and then find that purpose and passion there to say, you know what, I want to be a teacher. So take me to that journey.
Absolutely. Well, I just, that mindset that I was telling you about, like, I didn't know anyone who ever left the country to go teach or to go volunteer, and especially not Africa. That's another thing. The statistics are even lower than that when you talk about African Americans or diasporans actually going back to Africa. A lot of people are obsessed with France and China, you know, all of the European countries, but Africa is stigmatized as being a undesirable place to go. So I remember I was in my dorm room one day, and I was just thinking like, yo, at the time I was really into my studies, learning about my heritage and my lineage. And I was thinking like, yo, I really have a feeling that the European powers that be has lied to us about how we should view Africa. And so I was like, man, like, what if I could go? Like, what if I could pull this off? Like, and so I started looking up different volunteer programs. I started looking at the prices, and I was like, yo, I might be able to pull this off. And so I saw Tanzania. I watched one video, I kid you not. I fell in love. It was so green, so lush. The people looked so kind. I fell in love, so I wrote a proposal. I put together a presentation, and I went all throughout the community and the campus, and I started presenting my project to different groups, asking for donations, because I was a broke college student. I'm gonna be honest, and I was 21 years old. And yeah, so I was just out pitching. I was presenting in front of meetings, and people was actually giving me money, and I was able to pay for my project fee and book my ticket. And I was off, man. I was off. So I actually I think I mentioned earlier that I actually quit my football career. I had a very, very good football scholarship that was handling a good chunk of my student loans. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was sitting in the head coach's office, and he basically tried to guilt trip me and manipulate me into missing my trip to stay and work out over the summer
Wow.
working out over the summer wasn't an obligation; it was a choice.
Right.
And he tried
Right.
to make me feel like I was a bad teammate because I
Right.
wanted to go focus on my career after football. And
Right.
so when I saw how he was moving, I was like, you know what, coach? Slid him the paper. I was like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and step away. I appreciate everything that you did. Quit the football team, man. I was off to Africa that summer at 21 years old, first time leaving the country. And yeah, man, I had an amazing experience. I got there. I got to Arusha at the orphanage. I know we talked about it, man, but I was
Yeah.
not supposed to teach. I
Right.
didn't sign up to teach. I signed up for childcare. I
Right.
was supposed to be out there, just taking care of the kids, playing games, and kind of helping out and stuff. And I kid you not, man. We get there the first day. First day, I'm standing there in front of 50 to 60 kids. The
Right.
director of the orphanage, all the teachers standing there, and one of the teachers come up to me, man, and she was just like, "Oh, you teach?" And I was like, "Look, no, I don't teach. I'm supposed to be here for childcare. I'm not supposed to be teaching." She was like, "Oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, you teach."
Right.
Hands me a stick. I'm standing up at this chalkboard in front of 50 to 60 kids with no lesson
Wow.
plan, no experience, no idea. I don't even have a game because mind you, they don't even speak English. So how
Right.
am I going to explain to them how to play a game? I was mute. I was
Wow.
sweating bullets. I was stumbling over my word. I was looking around. I mean, I made a complete fool out of myself, man. I thought that it was like the end of the world. I was so embarrassed. And like you said, I didn't realize it, but at that moment was the turning point to what my purpose was. But I didn't know, and it came through embarrassment. And
Right.
it's crazy when you watch the documentaries on Marcus Garvey when he gave his first speech in New York. He choked.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yes,
choked.
he did.
He
He did. He
choked.
did.
And it's just so interesting, man. Like sometimes you just have to be brave enough to get out there,
Right.
and you could always improve. So I went back to the volunteer house, and I wrote down a game plan, wrote down some activities, wrote down different things that I know that I could try to teach. Came
Right.
back the next day, man, and I was on fire. The kids ended up loving me, and it was a great experience. But to touch on what you said about those statistics, man, I was the only Black person in my
That's
volunteer house
surprising.
until someone else, another Black woman, had came later.
Right.
But I was the only Black man in my volunteer house. So literally, I'm in Africa, my homeland, in a house full of white people, and I'm like, it was a crazy experience, man. But those statistics are alarming, and I really wish that we could inspire more Black people to go to other Black countries to be visible, man, because we need to see each other, we need to invest in each other. So but that's my story on how I got shoot, man, to this point. So yeah, it was
And
very interesting.
so tell me your experience in Tanzania. Like, how was it teaching, living there, the environment, the people?
Fell in love. Fell in love. I don't know a Black person who's been to Africa who didn't fall in love. But I completely fell in love, man. I honestly feel like it is my country, man. Like a lot of times I tell people like sometimes I feel more at home there than I do here. And it's simply because you're in a Black world. So imagine like the utopia Black society that we dream of here. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that African societies are perfect because they have their struggles too, but the representation um is near 100%. So like when you touch down, it almost makes you feel uncomfortable, sadly, that
Wow.
you're around that many black people, because
Right.
on the billboards, there are black people. There's black people working at the bank. There's black policemen.
Right.
Your president is black. There's black doctors. There's black people
Right.
working at the grocery store. There's black people in transportation. There's black construction workers. Everywhere you look, there's black people. And coming from a white
Right.
society, it's alarming, but it was therapeutic. And it's something that
Right.
you would get addicted to, because you are no longer the minority by skin. You're a part of the
Right.
majority. And for black people who have lived for centuries as a minority, to go to a place where you are the majority,
Right.
the feeling. I'm telling you, when I was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, I had to ask my brother, I'm like, when the last time you seen a white person, man? Like, it had been weeks, like, for real.
Right.
And you don't even
Wow.
realize how therapeutic it is until you get into that environment. But the people were amazing. It's an extremely lush and beautiful country with a lot of different attractions. They have the Serengeti Safari and Ngorongoro Crater, Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest mountain in Africa. They call it the roof of Africa. Zanzibar Island, tons of cultural and natural things that you can explore. And it was just really dope, man. It's so easy to make friends. And being black, you blend in too. So a lot of people, like if you went there, they would come up to you speaking Swahili because they would think that you were a native. And literally, I don't even remember having like any negative encounters with any Africans. So the whole misconception of Africans don't like African Americans or vice versa, man, I had people take me in as family, bro. So it was amazing.
Can you talk about a little bit about the food? Can you talk about a little bit the food a little bit?
The food, man. Let me tell you, man. The food in Tanzania is something that you would definitely get yourself hooked on, man, because it's fresh. It's not as processed. So their fish, they take it straight out of the sea to the market and they sell it. Their meat, they kill it, they cut it, they sell it. They fruit, they pick it, they sell it. It's done. It's not like sitting in packages and they not injecting. No, it's raw food. Abundance of fruits and vegetables, man. They have tons of different dishes and stuff like ugali, which is like this substance you can eat with your hands and dip in the sauce. And it's just amazing, bro. Like, I got hooked. I actually was vegan before. When I first went to Africa, I was vegan. When I came back, I wasn't vegan again. It'll do that to you, man. It'll do that to you, man. But what I love most about, and not even just the food, but the eating experience, it's a very close-knit, family-oriented environment. So, like, a lot of times when you're eating with a family, like, you'll sit on the floor, you will all share like a big platter of food, and you have to beg them not to give you the last. Like, you literally get into a fight because they're so humble. They'll be like, please, you take the rest. Like, it's amazing, bro. So yeah, the food is dope, and yeah, it's just a great experience. So
how did the go ahead, bro. Sorry about that. Like, what was your favorite? Go ahead, bro.
No. I was just saying the food was definitely one of my favorite things about the country.
That's awesome. And give me an idea of how you felt, like knowing like your last day there, knowing that you had to go back to the state. Take me back to that day.
It was a sad day, man. It was a sad day, man. It actually, my last day teaching was the day before I was leaving the next day. So, man, when I got done with my last class, and I remember they sat me in front of the class, and all the kids stood up and they sung me a song. I kid you not. I'm coming out there. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm all pro-black, Malcolm X, I'm out here, I'm tough, big dog, I'm tough. Kid you not, I busted out crying, bro, like a complete baby, and I couldn't even hold in my tears, bro, because I never experienced such a joy but sadness at the same time, man. And I remember as they were singing me the song, I had started crying, and I looked at the teachers, and the teachers were crying too, bro. Like, and so like, I don't think that they were used to seeing a black man from abroad come and invest with them in them at that level. So they got connected to me because they could see themselves in me, but at the same time, like, I was different. You know what I mean? Coming from a different country, but like the connection that I had with them versus maybe some of the other volunteers was totally different. Just off the simple fact that I'm black. So and it's like, I started crying, bro, and I looked at the teachers, and they was back there. They was back there wiping their eyes and stuff. Man, I was through, man. I cried for like 2.5 hours. Me and my friends, we even went to a restaurant after the school. I was crying while I was eating, bro. Then I got on the bus and cried the way home. I was crying so hard. I was like crying, but no tears was coming out. I was so hurt, but I was so fulfilled. It was like an experience, man, that I really can't even put into words, bro. But just know that it was a sad day. And if you talk to other African Americans that have went to Africa, there's actually like a return depression that you get when you come back to the United States and you think about what's in Africa and how spiritually strong the environment is. A lot of us, when we come back to the United States and we get pumped into this rush, this tough, fast-paced society again, we go through this type of emotional depression or this breakdown, and it happens. So yeah, that's what my last day was like, man. I was an emotional wreck.
Man, sorry for putting you this on your spot. Do you remember the song they sung to you?
Yeah, it wasn't like an actual like song by artist, but it was like something like, "Teacher, you're so wonderful. We will miss you. Thank you so much." And like they put it to like a nice little tune, and they was like clapping, and even some of the kids was crying. Like some of my students that I had spent time with, they was crying too. So they was just singing like, "Yeah, teacher, we love you. We miss you." Like all of that type of stuff. And I was just sitting there in front of the class, bro, and I was just like, I just lost it.
And that's the thing too. And the thing too is that power of affirmation. Like you're getting it back from the students. Like you did a hell of a job, and it's like when you get that feeling from kids, it's like the best feeling in the world.
Overwhelming, bro. Overwhelming, man. It truly was, man. I can't even I'll never forget it, man. I've never some of those kids I didn't see again, man, which is also sad, but I just know that, you know, what I did when I was there was not taken for granted. So yeah, absolutely.
And then now you're back into the States, you're back home. You got, this new pep in your step.
Yes.
So take me to that step of like, you're like, I want to be a teacher. This is what I want to do. I want to do this back home. So take me to that. Take me to that journey.
Right. So yeah, I came back home. It was a little dry period in between, which I didn't really know. Like I knew I wanted to teach, but I didn't quite have the opportunity. But through some other things that I was doing in the community, I was able to meet some older Black men in the nonprofit sector, and my God, man, they changed my life because they allowed me to become an educator early without actually having the licensure to do it, because like here in America you got to jump through a lot of hoops to be in like the classroom and be like, in the public school system and all that type of stuff. So through the nonprofit sector, I was able to work on my teaching skills while I was still in college. And then as it kept going, my status in the organization just started to go up, and I was just able to do more. But yeah, I came back, and at the end of 2018, I started working for the DAD Initiative, which is a nonprofit here in Cincinnati, very well known, directing adolescent development. And we teach character development through social and emotional learning. So what we do is we go to different schools and we do programming through whatever subject that they say they need, we can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But sorry, I think somebody called me. The thing is, regardless of what subject we teach, the basis of every lesson or every curriculum is character development. So at the root, character development is initially what we teach, but we could do it through writing, we could do it through music, we could do it through fitness, we could do it through many different areas, but that's what we do. So yeah, man, I was able to work on my teaching skills for a few years, and I really created a good bond and a good system, a really good system with some of the kids and some African American kids in the public school district. And yo, been some of the best experiences of my life. I got a lot of different videos, man, that I can send you one day of like me instilling those affirmations, bro. Like what you were saying earlier, the affirmations. I always have my kids saying affirmations and reciting certain definitions that they can keep into their head. So when they experience different things in life, they can refer to those definitions that I instilled in them. So yeah, man, we just been doing a lot of different programming. We just recently did our first virtual STEM camp where I was teaching the young authors program, and that was an interesting experience as well. So super dope organization, man. Shout out to the executive director, Terrence Stallings, man. He's doing a great job. Just impacting the city, man, impacting these kids, and I'm super thankful to be in this position. So
let's that keyword, the key two words I enjoyed what you were saying like just a few minutes ago, character development. And I think one key thing of character development is through books. So can we talk about the upcoming book that's coming out called The Deadly Motivation for Young Black Male? Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I'm intrigued by that, because one of the quotes I think of is Frederick Douglass when he said it's easier to build strong children than repair a broken man. It is true. It's true. It's true.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so I think I would love to hear about that book, because I think daily information is important for kids' development.
Absolutely, man. And that's why in my statuses, I always say, man, how can we condemn Black men in adulthood for their shortcomings, yet we fail to invest in their character development in boyhood? So it's like, how are you going to get angry at a man that's emotionally unstable? He can't express himself. When he was 5 years old, you was telling him to shut up because he was crying. You was telling him to man up when he said his feelings was hurt. So it's these misconceptions, man, that we gotta break free from. So actually that in November, when I came back from Africa, I think I was 21 years old at the time, I published the first edition of The Daily Motivation for the Young Black Male. Here's my office proof copy right here. Just to give you guys a look at the book. And so my purpose with this book was essentially to create like a poetic guide to help them with character development, because too often times do we put these academic, culturally not relevant books in front of these Black kids, and they looking like, man, I don't even know what are they talking about. Like this lingo, this vocabulary, I never heard this. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to create a book where we could understand and connect to it. Because I mean, bro, I'm 24 years old. I was just a Black boy less than like a decade ago. So I'm close to it. I'm really close to it. And so that's what I wanted to do, man. So I created a book talking about different areas of character and life experiences, and I wrote it in a hip hop, poetic, cool type of way where I use slang, I use different
Right.
phrases like ain't and gonna, like, you know, little
Right.
stuff that'll be like, okay, yeah, I talk like that too. So I'm gonna read this
Right.
because I get this. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's what we got to do. We got to meet our people where we are instead of trying to be so, you know, like we can have
I
academic
told you.
stuff, but we also got to have
Right.
stuff for the kids, man, that they could be like, dang, bro, he talk like me. I'm trying to read this because this me right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was
Right.
my goal with that, man. I wanted to find a cool way to inspire Black boys to be better, because we can't keep allowing people to condemn Black men, and nobody's really investing in
Right.
building Black men, bro. Like,
Right.
so if you're gonna talk about it, then you need to invest in Black boys, because they are gonna be men. So that's what this is, man. That's what this is. So we got yeah, man, we got a lot of affirmations, man. We even talking about like respecting your mother, spirituality, integrity, ego, confidence, love, escaping the streets, like not getting caught up in the streets and bad crowds, because that's another thing.
Right.
Being successful in school, yeah, gratitude, all different types of things. So
Yo,
I try to
is it
hit.
okay if you, I don't know if you can. Can you read a little insert from it just to give people
Yeah,
an
of course,
idea?
of course. I can't give off too much. I can't give off too much.
No, 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 no.
I know, I know. So this is one of my favorites, man. This is inspired by me growing up in a rough neighborhood. A lot of Black boys grow up in rough neighborhoods, and they have to fight escaping the streets.
Right.
So when I refer to that block, it means the negative part of the streets. So I don't want people to get confused and think it's like
Yeah, yeah.
property or nothing like that.
Right, right.
Okay, cool. So this one it's called Get Off That Block. And so it goes like this. It don't matter if it's his block, her block, or bro block. It ain't never your block. Instant gratification in the hood will always fail you. Just cause he say sell it, don't mean you should. Just cause they say shoot it, don't, even though you could. For all these things are destructive to you, but it's also destructive to your hood. You don't have to pay them no mind when you walk home through the school parking lot. And don't feel bad for choosing the library over that block. Stay off that block. It is a representation of exactly what you're not.
That's
Yeah.
dope, man. That's dope, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I'm definitely excited about that book, man. I definitely want to get a copy. Probably want to get a couple of copies to share with
Yeah,
people.
you get a copy in your hands, bro. It's really dope, man. Like, and you kind of hear how the language is different, you know, like as
Right.
Black men, as Black boys, like that's something that we are from experiences, but I share a lot of experiences with other Black men. So I'm looking with me to get this in some other Black men's hands, so they can also spread the message with me. Like, it's not just on me to get this message out here, man. We have to work together as Black men to get these into these Black boys' hands. So I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate that too, man. We need more like books like that. We need more books of
Absolutely.
affirmation for young men, older men, just something that they can relate to, because there's not a lot of stuff out there literature wise that people of color can relate to. You
Not
know
a
what I
lot of
mean?
stuff out
So,
there at all, man. And that's
and
such
I
a
appreciate you doing your part too. So, and it's about everyone playing their role and what they're good at and helping for a common good.
absolutely.
Also, let's talk about you have on September 5th is a virtual reading. So what are you going to do on that day? Are you going to do like actual reading on that day?
So I'm actually just going to be presenting my books to the community. And kind of like what I just did, man, I'm going to introduce myself and my author's journey, and essentially present both of my books and tell the community what they are, why they're important, and why they should invest in this literature. And yeah, that's pretty much the purpose of that, is just to kind of present. I'm gonna be dropping my website, and at that moment, everything will be available to be purchased. And so it's just, you know, just coming out to community saying, hey, this is who I am as an author. This is my work. This is why this work is important, and I would really appreciate your support.
I appreciate that too, man. And the last thing, let's talk about the other book you have. You have Academic Journey of African American Study and Psychology, Sociology,
Yeah, sociology. Yes,
and Perspective.
yeah,
So let's talk
absolutely,
about
man.
that.
It's a
That
mouthful,
looked like that's
man.
gonna be some deep reading right there, brother.
It really
But yes,
is.
finish what you were saying, that you dedicated it to your professor. You know, she passed away a day before you were going to graduate, right?
Yeah, 1 month before I was
1 month.
graduating in April. I graduated that May 2019. But what I was saying was, yeah, man, I separated my different work from African American studies and sociology in two different sections. And we talk about everything from the African American influence in Liberia to Marcus Garvey's life, Malcolm X's Pan African experience, because that's a part. I'm sorry. That's the part
No,
of
it's
it
okay.
that people don't always talk about. So yeah, it's really, really important, man, that we share these different narratives of our history. And a lot of it is also philosophy too. It's like a question and answer section where I have different questions and I'm answering how I feel about certain topics. So part of it is research and part of it is philosophy as well. So I'm really excited to present this to the community as well, because it's not a lot of young Black people just putting the work that they've already done in an organized fashion. If
I
you
totally
in
agree.
college and you have a book,
Yeah,
you need to profit off of the work that you've done. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So that's what I wanted to do, man. And I just hope that in the future, my kids and some of the people in the community will look at this book and be inspired by, you know, some of the things that I've written about. So thank you.
All right. And then also, last question. 20 years from now, what do you want people to think and think about your legacy 20 years from now?
Man, 20 years from now, I want people to be inspired to never be scared to pioneer something. Always take the initiative to be the first one to do it. So I really want people to, man, to look at my life and see that I live it fully and that I tried everything that I wanted to do, simply because I wasn't scared to try. And I hope that through my life and some of the things that I write, it'll inspire people to, man, to get up and go for whatever they want to do and just be fearless with it, man.
And you're doing that, man. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I definitely would have you back on again. As soon
Thank you
as
so much.
like you release the book, you know, I would love to do like a reading. You know, just break down the book
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the
We can
different
plan
parts
on
of
that.
it. Actually, both books anyway, because you know sometimes I want to get my Cornell West on sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna do it, man. I really appreciate you, man. I can't wait to see what your platform does in the future. So thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure, man. You have a good day, man.
All right, you too.
All right, brother.